How do you kill a car people never stopped loving twice? Back in 1974, the Volkswagen Scirocco arrived and changed what a Volkswagen could be. Sharp, light, affordable, and genuinely exciting. People loved it. Then Volkswagen killed it. Years later, they brought it back, and fans thought it was a miracle. The hype was real, the reviews were strong, and for a moment it felt like the Scirocco was back for good. Then Volkswagen killed it again. No replacement, no explanation, just silence. Today, we're uncovering the story of the coupe people never stopped asking for, and why Volkswagen keeps walking away from the cars enthusiasts love most. If you love the hidden stories behind the car world, subscribe and leave a like. Because some cars disappear, the Scirocco keeps coming back. Let's go back to the beginning. Back in the early 1970s, Volkswagen was facing a problem. The Beetle era was ending. For decades, the Beetle had carried the company, but the world was changing fast. Buyers wanted something more modern, more efficient, and more exciting. Volkswagen needed a new identity. The problem was that Volkswagen wasn't known for exciting cars. It was known for practical cars, sensible cars, cars people respected but didn't necessarily dream about. And that's where the Scirocco changed everything. In 1974, the Volkswagen Scirocco arrived before the first Golf, and that alone says a lot. Volkswagen used it to introduce its new front-wheel drive future, moving away from the old rear-engine formula that had defined the Beetle. This wasn't just a new model, it was a new direction. The Scirocco was lower, sharper, lighter, and younger. It looked fast, even standing still. And for the first time in a long time, Volkswagen felt exciting. It wasn't built to replace the Beetle emotionally, it was built to pull Volkswagen into the future. And people noticed immediately. The Scirocco felt fresh, different, almost rebellious compared to what Volkswagen had been before. It wasn't the car people expected from Volkswagen, and maybe that's exactly why it worked. And a huge part of that came down to one man, Giugiaro. By the 1970s, Giugiaro was already building a reputation as one of the greatest designers in the world. And with the Scirocco, you could see it immediately. The proportions were perfect. Long hood, low roofline, sharp edges, clean surfaces. Nothing felt wasted. It looked aggressive without trying too hard. That's the genius of Giugiaro. He knew how to make a simple car feel special. The Scirocco wasn't expensive. It wasn't exotic, but it looked like something you wanted, and that mattered. Because Volkswagen had always sold practicality, the Scirocco sold emotion. It gave Volkswagen something rare, desire. It was practical enough to use every day, with hatchback usability and solid engineering underneath. But it looked like a proper coupe. It gave buyers both logic and passion in the same car. That balance is incredibly hard to get right, and Giugiaro nailed it. Even today, the original Scirocco still looks clean, sharp, and honest. No fake aggression, no unnecessary drama, just good design. And good design lasts longer than trends. That's why people still remember it. Not just because it was good, because it looked like the future the moment it arrived. By the mid-1970s, something important was happening inside Volkswagen. The Volkswagen Scirocco wasn't just another successful model, it was helping redefine what Volkswagen could be. For decades, Volkswagen had been associated with practicality, reliability, and simplicity. But the Scirocco introduced something new, emotion. A lighter, sharper, younger Volkswagen. A car that felt exciting before you even turned the key. And what makes it even more interesting is this. Before the Volkswagen Golf GTI became the legend everyone talks about today, the Scirocco was already carrying that same spirit. The DNA was already there. Same platform, same front-wheel drive layout, same engineering philosophy. But the Scirocco wrapped it all in something far more dramatic. The roofline sat lower. The body stretched longer. The silhouette looked sharper. It felt faster just standing still. And that matters because emotion often starts before the drive. Then in 1976, the Golf GTI arrived and changed everything. The hot hatch was born, and Volkswagen suddenly had a new icon. The world fell in love with the GTI, and for good reason. It was practical, fast, affordable, and genuinely fun. But here's what people often forget. The Scirocco had already laid the foundation. It helped shape the sporty identity Volkswagen would build for decades after. Lightweight, responsive, practical enough for everyday use, but engaging enough to make every drive feel alive. That formula became the heart of every great performance Volkswagen that followed, and the Scirocco understood it first. That's why for many enthusiasts, it was actually the cooler car. Less obvious, less practical, more emotional. It shared the Golf's mechanical heart, but it had more style, more presence, more attitude. It was the car you bought with your heart, not your head, and that made it special. The Golf GTI became the hero. The Scirocco became the cult favorite, and sometimes cult favorites leave deeper scars than heroes ever could. Through the second generation in the 1980s, the Scirocco kept evolving. Faster engines, sharper chassis, better refinement. But the soul never changed. It was still the Volkswagen you bought because you wanted it, not because you needed it. And that difference is everything. Because practicality sells cars, desire builds legends. But by the late 1980s and early 1990s, the world had changed again. The market was becoming colder, more practical, and far less emotional. Buyers wanted space, versatility, comfort, and everyday usability. Hatchbacks were winning, family cars were evolving, coupes were becoming harder to justify, and the Volkswagen Scirocco, by design, was never the practical choice. It was the emotional one. Lower, tighter, less practical, built more for feeling than logic. And emotional cars are usually the first to suffer when companies start looking at numbers. Inside Volkswagen, the problem was even bigger. The Volkswagen Golf had become a giant success, and on paper it could do almost everything better. More doors, more space, more versatility, easier to sell to a bigger audience. The Golf made sense. The Scirocco made you feel something, and in business, logic usually wins. Slowly, the Scirocco started losing its place inside Volkswagen's own lineup. It wasn't bad, it wasn't outdated, it was simply harder to defend. Then came the Volkswagen Corrado, the car meant to replace it. More advanced, more powerful, more expensive. Technically better in many ways, but it was a very different kind of car. More serious, more mature, less accessible. And for many fans, it didn't feel like a real successor. It wasn't really a Scirocco. By 1992, Volkswagen quietly ended Scirocco production. No big farewell, no celebration, no final chapter to close the story. Just the end. And somehow that silence made it hurt even more. Because when a car disappears without a goodbye, it feels unfinished. Like a story interrupted in the middle. For Scirocco fans, that's exactly what it felt like. The coupe that had helped shape Volkswagen's sporty identity was suddenly gone, replaced by something different, and over time the gap only became more obvious. Years passed. The car world moved on, but the memory of the Scirocco never really disappeared. And sometimes the cars people remember the longest are the ones that left too soon. After 16 years of silence, something happened that almost nobody expected. In 2008, Volkswagen brought the Volkswagen Scirocco back, and for fans, it felt impossible. For years, the Scirocco had become one of those cars people talked about like a lost legend. A car Volkswagen should never have killed. Most people had accepted it was gone forever. Then Volkswagen changed its mind, and when the new Scirocco was revealed, the reaction was immediate. This wasn't just a comeback. It felt like unfinished history coming back to life. The design was sharp, aggressive, and modern, but it still carried the spirit of the original. Low roofline, wide stance, clean proportions. It looked fast before it even moved, and that mattered, because Volkswagen had spent years building sensible cars, practical cars, safe cars. But the Scirocco wasn't trying to be sensible. It was trying to be wanted. The internet exploded. Forums came alive. Reviews were glowing. Fans who grew up loving the original suddenly had a new Scirocco to dream about. And in a world that was already moving toward practical crossovers and safer choices, bringing back a coupe like this felt almost rebellious. It felt like Volkswagen had remembered how to build something emotional again. And that's why the comeback felt so powerful. It wasn't nostalgia. It felt like redemption. And the best part was this. The new Scirocco was actually good. Really good. That's what made the comeback work. It wasn't a lazy revival built to sell on old memories. It had substance behind the name. Underneath, it shared its foundation with the Volkswagen Golf, just like the original had. But the experience felt completely different. The seating position was lower. The car felt tighter, sharper, more alive. The steering was quicker. The chassis felt more focused. This wasn't just a Golf in a different shape. It had its own identity. And the engines helped too. Strong turbocharged options, real performance, and eventually the Volkswagen Scirocco R gave it serious credibility. It wasn't pretending to be sporty. It was sporty. Reviews praised how planted it felt, how balanced it was, how natural it felt on real roads. But what mattered most wasn't the numbers, it was the feeling. Because inside Volkswagen's lineup, surrounded by practical hatchbacks and everyday family cars, the Scirocco stood out. It had character, it had presence, it had attitude. You didn't buy it because it was the smartest choice. You bought it because you wanted it, and that's why people connected with it so quickly. It respected the original without copying it. It captured the same spirit, the same energy, the same feeling that made people fall in love with the first one. And for a moment, it felt like the Scirocco was finally back where it belonged. By 2017, the Volkswagen Scirocco was still respected, still loved, and still carrying the same identity that had made its comeback so special. It wasn't the best-selling Volkswagen, but that had never been the point. The Scirocco was never built to be the practical choice. It was built to be the emotional one. But the market had changed again. SUVs were taking over. Buyers wanted practicality, higher seating positions, more space, more versatility. Coupes were becoming harder to justify, especially for brands like Volkswagen, where every product had to make financial sense. And that's where the Scirocco found itself in danger again. Sales were slowing, regulations were tightening, and inside Volkswagen, priorities were changing fast. Emotion was losing to numbers. Then the decision came. Production would end. No successor, no replacement, no new generation waiting in the shadows. Just another ending. And for fans, that was the hardest part. Not the fact that it was ending, but the way it ended. Quietly, almost coldly. The same way it had disappeared the first time. A car that had fought its way back into existence was being erased again. And once again, people were left asking the same question. Why bring back something this loved, only to walk away from it again? Because by that point, the Scirocco had proven itself. It wasn't just nostalgia. It was a genuinely good car with real identity. And in a world full of safe choices, that identity mattered. But Volkswagen moved on. And for the second time, the Scirocco became history. But history is the strange part, because even after production stopped, the Scirocco never disappeared. Some cars die when factories stop building them. The Scirocco didn't. Its community stayed alive. Forums stayed active. Owners kept modifying them, restoring them, improving them. New buyers kept searching for clean examples, and those clean examples became harder and harder to find. That's when you know a car has crossed into something bigger than production. Values started holding strong. Good examples became wanted, not because they were rare supercars or collector exotics, but because people genuinely cared. The Scirocco built loyalty, and loyalty lasts longer than marketing. Volkswagen stopped building the car, but enthusiasts never stopped building its story. That's why the debates never stopped either. Every few years, rumors come back. A new Scirocco, an electric Scirocco, a revival. And every time, the same excitement returns because people still want it back. That kind of attachment doesn't happen by accident. It happens when a car gets something right at its core. The Scirocco was never the biggest Volkswagen success. It never reached the status of the Beetle or the Golf GTI, but it became something just as powerful, unforgettable. And maybe that's why its story still matters, because some cars survive through production numbers. The Scirocco survived because people refuse to forget it. And sometimes that's the strongest kind of legacy a car can have. So here we are, at the end of the road. The Volkswagen Scirocco's gone again, but like the first time, it never really disappeared because the people who loved it never let it. That's what makes cars like the Scirocco different. Production ends. The story doesn't. The forums are still alive, the builds are still happening, and clean examples are getting harder to find. Which leaves the real question, why does Volkswagen keep abandoning the cars people actually love? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story, subscribe and check out the next video. Because the car world is full of stories like this, the ones that never really end. See you in the next one.